You're here because you want to become fluent in English fast. The best way to do that is to improve all areas of your English at the same time. And that's what you're going to do today with this reading and listening method. We're going to read a news article together, and at the same time, you're going to improve your vocabulary, your grammar, your pronunciation, your reading skills, your listening skills, and more, all at the same time while learning about important events taking place in the world today. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started.
First, I'll read the headline. I was saved by luck or God, Trump says. What do you notice about the sentence structure of the headline? Is this an active sentence or a passive sentence? To understand that, just ask yourself, is the subject doing the action or receiving the action? And this could be an indication as well, because we have our past simple of the verb to be conjugated with the subject, and then we have our verb here in ed. So this is our passive. You also might notice that word by, which is usually associated with the passive, by something, luck, or someone, God. Now let's take luck. And what if we wanted to make this active? What would it be? Well, if it's Trump says, he could say, luck saved me. Luck saved me. Now, luck is a something. It's when good things happen to you, but it's beyond your control. Luck. You can have a lot of luck, or you can use the adjective form, which is lucky, to be lucky. This is used a lot to show appreciation. I could say to you, I'm so lucky to have great students. I'm so lucky to have great students like you, which I truly believe. Now, you might show appreciation to me and say, I'm so lucky I have a great teacher. That's so nice of you. Thank you. Now, notice that difference in sentence structure. I'm so lucky to be lucky. And then we've made it stronger. You could say, I'm very lucky as well. I'm very lucky. Now, notice here, to have, so the infinitive, to have great students, or I have, this is a clause. I have a great teacher. Subject, verb, object, and then you can just add in to be lucky. I'm very lucky I have a great teacher. So if you agree that you're lucky, put I'm so lucky in the comments. And don't worry about taking these notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Now let's continue with the lesson. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is supposed to be dead after Saturday night's assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania. First, let's look at supposed to. I hear a lot of mistakes with this, with the sentence structure and also with pronunciation. Let's confirm the pronunciation because this ed is silent. You don't hear it. Supposed to. So I say to, but this, it just sounds like the present simple suppose. Supposed to. Repeat after me. Supposed to. Supposed to. Let's review these examples. I'm supposed to study tonight. So we have our subject, the verb to be conjugated with the subject. You could change this to the subject she, and then you would need she is or they. Of course, you need they are as a contraction. They're supposed to study tonight. So this part doesn't change. And then you need to and the base verb, or you can think of it as the infinitive. So just remember to conjugate your verb to be. Now, this is commonly used in the past simple. I was supposed to study last night. Now, remember, you need to conjugate your verb according to the subject. They were supposed to study last night. When you're supposed to do something, it means you have an obligation, but that doesn't mean you actually do the activity. If you say they were supposed to study last night. That sounds like the obligation was there, but they didn't do it. So this is very commonly used in the past simple. And even in the present simple, they're supposed to study tonight. It's not clear if they are going to or not. It's just that the obligation is there. So don't forget that verb conjugation. Don't forget that ed. Remember the pronunciation as well. And you need your infinitive, your to plus base verb. So Trump has said he's supposed to be dead after Saturday night's assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania. A rally is a large public meeting, but it's a public meeting of supporters, people who support someone or a particular plan, idea, proposal, policy. Now, this is important that it's of supporters because we have a separate word for people who meet in a large group, but who are not supporters. And that would be a protest, or the people who attend a protest are protesters. A protest is a large public meeting of opposers, people who oppose someone or a project, plan, policy, proposal. So this attempt took place at a rally, which was supposed to be filled with supporters in Pennsylvania. Notice that pronunciation, Pennsylvania. In one of his first interviews since the incident, Mr. Trump told conservative U.S. media he felt that he had been saved by luck or by God. So this is the same sentence structure that we saw in the headline. So we saw to be saved. He was saved. In this case, it's just in the past perfect. He had been saved by luck or by God. But this is still the passive because he's receiving the action. Whereas in the active, it would be luck had saved him. Let's look at the word incident because it has a very similar meaning to accident, but they're not interchangeable. You could say at work, there was an incident at work. There was an accident at work. An incident is an unusual or unpleasant event, but an accident is an event that results in harm, damage, injury, or loss. So they are very similar in meaning, but if I hear these two sentences, the first reaction I have will be different. If someone said there was an incident at work, my first question would be, what happened? So tell me more. What happened? What was the incident? If someone said there was an accident at work, my first reaction would be, was everyone okay? Because I would be concerned about safety. Because an incident is unusual or unpleasant, but doesn't necessarily mean that there was damage or harm. But accident, my first reaction would be, is everyone okay? Was anyone hurt? That would be my first reaction. So that's why there is a subtle difference. Now, in this case, they could have used accident because there was harm involved, but the person chose to use incident. I don't know why, because it also means unusual or unpleasant, which would describe this event. Now, another thing I want you to notice, in one of his first interviews, don't forget to put that S on the noun. When you use one of my friends, because you're focusing on one, but the noun needs to be plural. And also the verb that comes next, which here we don't have a verb that comes next, but the verb that comes next needs to be conjugated in the singular because it's focusing on one of. Let's review this sentence. One of my friends was, because was is the singular of the verb to be. It's used with the subjects he and she. One of my friends was in an accident. So we have one, but the noun has an S, but the verb is conjugated in the singular, in this case with the subject he or she.
Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson.
The most incredible thing was that I happened to not only turn my head, but to turn at the exact right time and in just the right amount. Okay, so he's talking about literally turning his head, which I'm doing right now. Let's take a look at this sentence structure. I happened to not only turn my head. Now, because he said he happened to turn his head, it means that he didn't purposely plan this. It's not that his security guard said, turn your head. So he purposely turned his head. It happened by chance. It just happened accidentally. It wasn't planned. So that's the sentence structure of to happen to do something. It occurs by chance, not intention, which means it wasn't planned. Let's review these examples. I happened to see Maria at the conference. So notice this is in the past simple. That's why this has the ed verb. But then you have your infinitive, to happen to do something. So in this case, to see. I happened to see Maria at the conference. This means I didn't plan to see Maria. It happened accidentally. I didn't know she would be at the conference. Or she happened to find, so with the ed and then the infinitive, she happened to find her grandmother's gold ring in the basement. She wasn't looking for her grandmother's gold ring. It happened by chance, accidentally. And that's why at the beginning, Trump said it was luck, because when you have luck, it's nothing intentional. And in this sentence structure, we have not only, but to turn at the exact right time. So by using to not only, he's saying he's doing this action, turn his head, but he's also doing something else. He's turning it at the exact right time, the time the bullet went by and the right amount. Because if he just went like this, he could have been killed, but he went like this. So the right time and the right amount, he said, adding that the bullet that grazed his ear could have easily killed him. Let's look at this verb, graze, and then in the past simple, grazed. Zd. So notice that z and then just a soft D for the ed, grazed, grazed his ear. If something grazed his ear, it means it just touched it slightly, but likely it didn't cause damage because it was just very lightly or softly. This isn't really used in an everyday context. It would be more in specific cases. Athletes could use this a lot, or chefs, because they use a lot of knives and equipment that could cut them, but it just grazed their finger. Thankfully, it didn't cut them. It just grazed their finger. And children fall a lot, so you might use it for children. So maybe this is an athlete playing tennis, and you could say, thankfully, she just grazed her knee when she fell. So her knee just touched the pavement slightly, softly. She won't need stitches. So they don't need to stitch her knee together. She won't need stitches. And then you could add, she's so lucky. She's so lucky. So of course, in this case, because Trump happened to turn his head at the right time and in the right amount, the bullet grazed his ear. He's so lucky. A spectator was killed in the attack. A spectator is someone who wasn't actively involved, who was just there to witness or observe. This is very commonly used in sports because all of the people who go to a sports game, but who are not the players, they're spectators. So every time you've gone to a sports game, but you're not playing, you're a spectator. In this case, though, a spectator was killed in the attack while 2 other people were seriously injured. The gunman who also died has been named as Thomas Matthew Crooks. Now, in this case, they're using named as because it represents identified as. It's not used to say your name. I wouldn't say I'm named as Jennifer. No, my name is Jennifer. I'm Jennifer. But this here has been identified as. Thomas Matthew Crooks, named as. This construction is also used to recognize someone officially. It could be an official title, a sports title, or a job position title. For example, Maria was named as the new marketing manager. So officially appointed or recognized as. So you will see it in a business context as well. Let's continue. Mr. Trump described the moment he looked up at the crowd. So notice here we have our phrasal verb look up. So that's if your head is down, you look up, and then you look at. So you look at someone or something. Right now, I'm looking at my computer screen, and you are also looking at your computer screen. So if you're looking down at your piece of paper, you might look up at the computer screen. And that's why we have these 2 prepositions. So he looked up at the crowd, so the spectators, the crowd, after realizing he had been shot. I knew that history would judge this, and I knew I had to let them know we're okay, he told the Washington Examiner. Speaking as he prepared to board a flight to the upcoming Republican National Convention, RNC, this is the acronym for Republican National Convention, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he is expected to be confirmed as the party's candidate for president. Mr. Trump said he now had a chance to bring the country together. So all of this is an introduction to this statement. Mr. Trump said, and when did he say that? He said it in this case. He said it while speaking as he prepared to board a flight. All of that is additional information. Let's review the sentence structure. To be expected and then infinitive. This is when something is likely to happen. So in this case, it's likely that Trump will be confirmed as the party's candidate for president. Now here, to be confirmed, because he's being officially recognized as, we could also say where he is expected to be named as the party's candidate, just like we saw it here, to be named. Maria was named as, so Trump was named as the party's candidate for president. So in this case, expected means likely to happen. You can also use it in the case as normal to happen, which has a very similar meaning. You could say at the airport, delays are to be expected. Delays are to be expected. They're normal. I wrote that example for you as well. Let's continue. He said his speech would now be completely different. Instead of the humdinger aimed mostly at current President Joe Biden's policies he had previously planned. So before the incident at the rally, he had planned a different speech, one that would be a humdinger. Do you know what this means? A humdinger? Humdinger means impressive or exceptional. And it's a fun word to say, isn't it? Humdinger. Humdinger. Dinger. So get that strong at the end. Repeat after me. Humdinger. Now, grammatically, it's important to know that humdinger is a noun. So you need an article. So you could describe something and say this lesson, the lesson you're watching right now, this lesson is impressive, is exceptional. These are adjectives. Impressive and exceptional are adjectives. So you wouldn't use an article. This lesson is, and then adjective. But if you want to use humdinger, which means impressive, you just need the article because humdinger is a noun. This lesson is a humdinger. A humdinger. So to remember that, and if you agree this lesson is exceptional or impressive, put humdinger, humdinger, put that in the comments. And I ask you to put things in the comments also because simply writing it down will make it so much more likely that you remember it. Humdinger, put that in the comments to help you remember it. So Trump was saying that his speech was going to be a humdinger. It was going to be impressive and exceptional. Had Saturday's attack not happened, this would have been one of the most incredible speeches. So this reinforces that it was a humdinger. Instead of impressive, exceptional, you could also use incredible as one of the adjectives for humdinger. So again, he could have said this would have been a humdinger because you need that article. So let me write that for you. This would have been a humdinger. But he used would have been, which means it isn't because he's not going to do it. A humdinger. This would have been a humdinger. One of the most incredible speeches. This is the sentence structure we reviewed before because we have one of. He's emphasizing one speech, the speech he was going to make at the rally. And then because we use one of, the noun needs to be plural. So don't forget that one of, and then the noun is plural. Honestly, it's going to be a whole different speech now. So after the incident, remember what an incident is and how it compares to accident. After the incident, Trump is planning a different speech or has planned because it's already planned. And he said, honestly, it's going to be a whole different speech now. It's a chance to bring the country together. And that's a nice way to end on a positive note. So to end on a positive note, that's an expression. You can use it in a book, a movie, a speech, a lesson. And on a positive note simply means end positively. The subject of this article was quite negative, but this article ended on a positive note because after this incident, Trump said he's going to write a speech to bring the country together. So again, you end on a positive note, which simply means you end positively. If you were to use the adverb form positively, end on a positive note. And then we could say, thankfully, this incident, because Trump wasn't hurt, the bullet just grazed him. Thankfully, this incident ended on a positive note. So you could use this as well. It's a very common expression. End on a positive note. Of course, you could also end on a negative note, but in this case, we'll say end on a positive note. And that is the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll review the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. I was saved by luck or God, Trump says. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has said he is supposed to be dead after Saturday night's assassination attempt at a rally in Pennsylvania. In one of his first interviews since the incident, Mr. Trump told conservative U.S. media he felt that he had been saved by luck or by God. The most incredible thing was that I happened to not only turn my head, but to turn at the exact right time and in just the right amount, he said, adding that the bullet that grazed his ear could have easily killed him. A spectator was killed in the attack, while 2 other people were seriously injured. The gunman, who also died, has been named as Thomas Matthew Crooks. Mr. Trump described the moment he looked up at the crowd after realizing he had been shot. I knew that history would judge this, and I knew I had to let them know we are okay, he told the Washington Examiner. Speaking as he prepared to board a flight to the upcoming Republican National Convention, RNC, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he is expected to be confirmed as the party's candidate for president, Mr. Trump said he now had a chance to bring the country together. He said his speech would now be completely different instead of the humdinger aimed mostly at current President Joe Biden's policies he had previously planned. Had Saturday's attack not happened, this would have been one of the most incredible speeches. Honestly, it's going to be a whole different speech now. It's a chance to bring the country together.
Did you like this lesson? If you did and you want more lessons, put more, put more, so I know you want more lessons just like this. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And I have another lesson that will help you improve your fluency. Make sure you watch it right now.